Welcome in once again to another edition of Where the 99 Leads. I'm Andrew Joyce, your host, and the program brought to you by the University of Pikeville, where we talk about all things regarding the University of Pikeville, academically, athletically, in and around the community. Where the 99 Leads, the name refers to the historic 99 steps that lead to the University of Pikeville campus, but also lead from campus back into the community and into the world. We're joined by a special guest today as we talk about education and new programs available at the University of Pikeville. First, Dr. David Barnett, founding dean of the Patton College of Education, our guest. And Dr. Barnett, we've met before.
Yes.
But there are I'm sure, some tuned in that do not know Dr. David Barnett. Let's reintroduce yourself to those tuned in.
I'd be glad to. This is my 41st year in education. I spent 27 years in the public school system, starting out as a middle school teacher, and then when I finished my career in the public schools, I was a school superintendent, and so obviously there were a number of jobs between the middle school principal's job and the district superintendency. I then spent 13 years at Morehead State University, starting the doctoral program there, teaching in the Ed Leadership program, and saw the advertisement for the dean of the College of Education. It wasn't named at that point, but saw the advertisements that UPike was looking for a dean, and had heard about a lot of the good things going on at UPike, and I thought, you know, I'd like to be a part of that, and applied for the job, interviewed, and I tell people now when they ask me about the job, how do you like the job? I said, well, I've died and gone to heaven because the people are great, the kids are terrific, the community is wonderful. It really is a gem here, and I am thoroughly enjoying my time.
The Patton College of Education, of course, named for former Governor Paul Patton, president of the University of Pikeville. Right. And Governor Patton, well respected in the education community.
Absolutely. In fact, it was a bit intimidating, quite honestly, first of all, knowing that I would be the founding dean of the Patton College of Education, knowing that Governor Patton is known not just in Eastern Kentucky, not just in Kentucky, but really throughout the nation as the education governor. And you know, to think about all the things that the governor did while he was in Frankfort, and more importantly, all the things that he's done since then and continues to do. Sure. He's a man of remarkable character and strength and vitality. I met with him last week, and I said, now, you know, Governor, I've not been in this business as long as you have, and I hope that when I'm your age, that I still have the energy and the enthusiasm to do the job that you still have. But he's a remarkable man, remarkable leader, and we're fortunate, really, to have him at the University of Pikeville.
We are indeed. You've been in education 41 years.
Yes, sir.
What are some of the biggest changes you've seen in education since when you started as a middle school teacher?
Interesting question. Obviously, technology would come to mind. When I was in school and we would study we'll say the Second World War, you know, we spent a lot of time looking at pictures and reading about some of the battles that happened, and now when you can click on the internet and see some of the actual footage of some of the things that are happening, it's pretty incredible. I remember too, in my last superintendency, walking into a classroom, and this was just when internet was fairly new, and the students were planning a trip from the school district to the West Coast, and they had magazines and pictures, and they were cutting out and making posters, and I asked the teacher, I said, have you ever heard of MapQuest? And of course now we know Google Maps and MapQuest and all those things, and she said, no, not really. And so they started exploring that, and then I started getting these virtual pamphlets and booklets that the students were putting together. Sure. You know, they'd have video clips of stopping at the Arch or going to Mount Rushmore or having interviews with, you know, perhaps President Truman as they stopped in Missouri. And so the internet probably, or the technology probably Teachers are still the key to student learning. You get a good teacher, one who's passionate and loves kids. That was true back with the first teachers. It's still true today. The teacher will never, ever be replaced. Of course, parents are the first teachers, and so the importance of parents is still there. Greater amount of accountability, probably. You know, we test. It seems like every time we turn around, we're testing, and that's, you know, accountability is a good thing. But sometimes I wonder if it's the tail that wags the dog.
Sure.
And so, you know, give us accountability. We're not backing away from that, but let us focus on doing the right thing for kids, and so there's a balance there, I guess.
Sure. In your 41 years, are the students different then than they are today?
In some ways, yes, and the way that, one of the one of the things that is obviously different is that most of them have cell phones now, or some sort of electronic device. As far as you know, if you take away those external things, the technology, there's some difference. I remember that when I was going to school, if I got in trouble at school, which happened on one or two occasions,
Sure.
I did not want my parents to know that I got into trouble, and because I knew that there would be trouble for me at home too, and so sometimes that's changed a little bit, but still, you know, the partnership between home and school is so very important. And I found that kids, you know, they like to have fun, to laugh, enjoy their friends. Peer pressure is still the same. Most of them don't like homework. Most of them love recess. School lunches. You know, they were complaining about school lunches before Mrs. Obama got involved with it. So there's a lot of similarities, but of course the challenges that kids have today too. You know, there's the internet has brought the world into the classroom and into homes, and as long as that's a controlled thing, then that can be good. But it, you know, there's things on the internet that needs to be blocked, and so some of the games, you know, that are pretty violent.
Sure.
Kids need to be told no. You can't. You know, this is not acceptable, and so. But I think the heart of the kids are pretty much the same.
Dr. David Barnett, founding dean of the Patton College of Education, and also joined by Teresa Lockhart, director of P20 Initiatives and academic outreach director at UPike. Teresa, welcome back in.
Thank you.
Let's find out more about you. For those that are tuned in that do not know Teresa Lockhart, and I think most do, but a little background and talk about your arrival at the university.
My background is public education as well. I'm certified K through 8, so I taught in public education. I taught kindergarten, first grade, 4th, 5th, and middle school math as well. So Dr. Barnett and I have a lot in common.
Sure.
I worked at the central office in Pike County as an instructional supervisor. I have 25 years in education. My last 5, I'm finishing my 5th year at UPike. I was hired as the Booth Scholar Director, and that program is gone now. The funding, you know, is no longer with us on that. So I moved before the funding was gone on that program. I moved into the dual credit role, and Dr. Hurley had started a pilot at Eastridge, and we always had students that came on campus from Pikeville because they're in the back door. But we started just working with schools to find faculty that were qualified to teach in-house, and so he started that as a pilot, and from there it's just continued to grow each year, and we keep adding schools and students, and it's just really expanded.
I know it's been extremely beneficial for those students because they can enter college, on-campus college, already with, of course, credits in place. And it's a huge benefit to those students to give them a head start, but parents as well.
Yes, it's a great opportunity for the students.
Now, you've been to UPike before you arrived 5 years ago.
Yes.
And it was known as something else then.
Pikeville College.
Right. So you've been both a student and now in, of course, administration at the university. Then Pikeville College, now the University of Pikeville. We've seen extreme growth over the last several years, but what are some of the biggest differences on the Hill from when you were a student to now?
When I was first a student, Armington Science Center, Learning Center, just had opened.
Right.
You know, it was a brand new building, so there was excitement about that. So when I came to work at it was still Pikeville College for a year after
Right.
I came on campus, but the big thing was, you know, the new coal building, and so that was exciting. We watched that the old Bears Den being torn down and that building built, and the cafeteria opening, and that's still a big thing for students when they come to visit is that building, and just the cafeteria is a good experience for them. And now we are looking at the building of the optometry school, so there's so many just more opportunities for students, more fields that they can go into, more majors, and now we're adding the master's programs. Sure. And that's the biggest changes I see, because that family feeling, that small, you know, community's still there.
Right.
That's still there.
A lot of progress, but we're hanging on to that,
Yes.
And that is important. Dr. Barnett, the Patton College of Education is adding a master's degree program. Mm-hmm. Tell us about the Teacher Leader program.
The Teacher Leader Masters is a relatively new program in the state. Probably 4 or 5 years ago, the Kentucky Education Professional Standards Board required of all universities and institutions of post-secondary learning in the state that offered master's in education programs to revise their programs and to combine them into the Teacher Leader Masters. There used to be a master's in secondary ed, a master's in elementary ed, a master's in special ed, and and just a multitude of different masters. And so EPSB, the Education Professional Standards Board, said, okay, let's take a look at what we're doing and see if, first of all, if our programs are still aligned with the best research, and second, we know that classroom teachers, many of whom stay in the classroom, really could take or should be given opportunities for leadership roles. And so how can we combine the best of both worlds? How can we keep our very best teachers in the classroom while also providing them some chances to chair committees or lead site-based councils or provide professional development? And so the Teacher Leader Masters was born, and again, not just at UPike or really in Kentucky. It's a national phenomenon, if you will, that most states now have a Teacher Leader Masters. And again, it focuses on not only the pedagogy of how to teach, but also opportunities to lead both within the classroom and outside the classroom. Interestingly enough, we'll start our first Teacher Leader classes this next week, and we're really excited about that. We have Teresa and I have been working with some superintendents and principals in identifying cohorts. A cohort would be a group of people who are involved in the program. So we have Teacher Leader cohorts that are district-based. Now, what does that mean? Well, a district-based cohort would be a group of 10, 12, 15, maybe 20 teachers in a particular district, and the instruction would be primarily delivered in that location, and the evidence, the data, the assignments, the coursework is really geared towards meeting the specific needs of that particular district. So sure. We're excited about it.
Indeed. And talk about how the program is structured, of course, by cohort.
Right.
And how long will it take students to complete the Teacher Leader program?
Most of the time it would finish, it's a 31-hour program, 31 semester hours. And so, for example, the cohort that's starting this summer, they'll take 6 hours this summer, 6 hours during the fall, 6 hours during the spring. So that would be 18 hours. Since it's a 31-hour program, then they would lack 13 hours. And so probably then they would take, they would skip the following summer and take 6 hours in the fall of 17, is that right, or whatever that fall is, and then finish in the spring. Or they could opt to actually take the 6 hours in the summer, and so it takes about 2 years, depending on whether or not they opt to go to the summer. And one of the things too about the cohort is that they're not all lockstep. In other words, what we might do in one cohort, another district might say, you know, it would be better for us if we didn't have any classes in the summer, and if we could just focus on fall, spring. And if that's the case, obviously, then it takes 2.5 years probably to do that. But it's a 31-hour program, and we're excited about it.
How's it different educating adult learners or working professionals than traditional graduate students?
Well, sometimes not much, but then other times there are some differences. I've taught in one way or another very young students and then doctoral students, and students typically complain about homework
Yes.
regardless of their age, but adult learners versus undergrad students, adults usually have a full-time job.
Sure.
And often a family, and so it's a matter of prioritizing. And one of the things that we really try to do is, with our teacher leader cohort, is we recognize that. And since Teresa and I both were instructional supervisors, we did a lot of planning of professional development. What are the needs that our teachers have, whether it be questioning techniques or classroom management or use of technology, whatever the needs were. And so the teachers would go through this 24 clock hours of professional development each year that's required by the state. And then they would have to work on their master's degree. They'd have, or their rank 2, and they'd have to finish that in 10 years. And there was not a recognition that this training, this 24 hours that they're doing in the district of professional development,
Sure.
was related in some way to the academic training. And so we've said, because we recognize and we've been there, we say, you know, this is sometimes excellent training, often some of the best training. And so if you think about a Venn diagram, when heretofore we had the things going on at the schools and the things going on with at the universities, and the circles didn't overlap. What we have now is overlapping circles, and recognizing and honoring the things that are happening in the schools, and so the teachers don't have to think, okay, I've got to do my professional development, put that aside. Now I've got to go do my graduate work, put that aside. That they're doing their professional learning, and they're getting credit for the work that they're doing.
They want to see relevance in what they're doing. You know, they want it, like you said, it's going to be related to their classrooms and their district. It's not going to be related to a district that's across the state. You know, it's going to deal with what they're doing. It's going to be things they can take back and use immediately, and that makes it worth their time and their effort, and they appreciate that.
Makes them more effective teachers.
Yes, it
I would
does.
imagine as well.
Exactly right.
Teresa, let's switch from educating adult learners to educating high school students. Tell us about UPike today. It's the University of Pikeville's dual credit program.
Yes, with the dual credit program, the students, we have some that come on campus to take courses, and we have, like Pikeville High School's always done that. Jenkins buses approximately 14 students 3 days a week to take 2 classes. They've done that this makes the 3rd year that they've done that, and they plan to continue that. We are picking up a private school this year this fall that it's going to send some students that they're actually going to be full-time students, but they're going to be getting their high school credit at the same time. Wow. We also, the classes that are taught in the schools are based on our curriculum. We send syllabi to those teachers, and they can teach it how they want to teach the class, but it has to be the same learner outcomes and the same objectives that our teachers have. I visit all those classrooms at least once a semester, so if there's any issues, you know, we try to catch those early, and, you know, we'll work with the teachers, work with the principals. Our department chairs work with the teachers. We've done some link sessions with the English teachers this year out in the schools, just to try to get them on the same page with our teachers, because we want it to be that college experience for our students.
And that's much different than the high school classes. And these are students that are really striving to get things. These are our future leaders. They're very determined.
Right.
The students that take part in the dual credit courses. UPike has grown substantially over the last few years and has been recognized nationally with this program as a model program. How many schools now are participating? We've mentioned a few.
This year we had 15 high schools, 11 different districts. We're going as far as Bourbon County High School.
Wow.
So we picked up several new ones this past year, and like I said, we're adding a private school that's coming on campus, but we're also adding this fall a private school that has 2 teachers that are going to teach in-house that are certified to teach the courses.
Sure.
So, we have people that I don't know how they know about us, but they do, and they contact us, and it's such a great opportunity for the students. And in some locations that are remote, there's not a college, there's not a community college close to them, and it's the only opportunity they have. They can do some online courses, but they get that actual face-to-face with the teacher. They they come on our campus and they're treated like they're UPike students. They get a visit on campus, they get a t-shirt, they get a UPike ID card. We just treat them like they're one of ours, and then when I go visit, they put my face to UPike, and then our admission counselors go and visit those students. So they're actually considered to be UPike students. And, a lot of those students are the top students, but we also have students that we want them to see that they can be successful as college students, and this is their first chance to take a college class and to realize they can succeed and they can go on to college. And these courses will transfer any place. So,
Dr. David Barnett, Founding Dean of the Patton College of Education, our guest, along with Teresa Lockhart, Director of P20 Initiatives and Academic Outreach Director at the University of Pikeville. And Teresa, what are the requirements for, if someone's tuned in, parents, students, what have you now, and they would like to participate in this dual credit program, UPike Today, what are the requirements for them?
We basically accept students that are juniors or seniors. We have had a few sophomores that the principals and counselors and teachers really recommend that have excelled. We've had a few of those. They have to have an 18 composite on the ACT, or if they're a junior and haven't taken the ACT, we take their plan scores. If they want to take an English class, they have to have an 18 in the English part of the ACT, and to be in like pre-calculus math, algebra, they have to have a math score of 22. So it's, we don't look at their GPAs because the counselors make the recommendations.
Sure.
They know if the students are really going to try. But we don't want those students to fail a college course and go into college, so we watch them throughout the semester, and if they struggle, we encourage them to drop the course before the end of the semester.
But counselors, teachers in the schools, they're pretty in touch with who those students are in identifying them. Dr. Barnett, you've talked about relationships with school districts already with the Patton College of Education, the cohorts being set up. And as we talk about that, how does the dual credit program help in strengthening those partnerships?
Well, one of the things that Teresa just mentioned was sometimes students who really never considered college, and then they get involved in these dual credit classes and they think, wow, with some work and determination, maybe I could go to college. Maybe I can be successful. And so, again, Teresa's out in the schools and meeting with the principals, meeting with the counselors, and between the two of us, we have a number of years' experience in education. We won't get into how many years' experience, but we know these people are our colleagues. We've worked side by side with them. We've had the same jobs that they've had, and so the dual credit, I think we have 600 plus students who are involved with dual credit this year, and my goodness gracious, to think that we have that many students earning university credit through the University of Pikeville, and the superintendents, they want their students to have these experiences, sure. and they want to work with a university that says, yes, we can do this, you know, and instead of throwing up barriers, we look for ways that, how can we make this work? How can we ensure that we have quality and provide these opportunities? And that's why, you know, Teresa, it's just all over this part of the state in central Kentucky, but unfortunately, you know, I had so many superintendents are my former students, or you know, if you've been in the business 41 years, they know you somehow, and so it is. But it is about relationships, and we're really all about students, making the connection with the P20 students, and how can we make their lives better through education.
Teresa, as we talk about the University of Pikeville's dual credit program, what's the cost involved for these students?
Actually, we don't charge tuition for students that take the courses in the high schools. There's a $25 application fee in August, and if a student takes 12 hours during that year, that covers August through the end of the school year. Ever how many courses they take, that's all they pay is the $25. If they come on campus, they pay $100 a credit hour, which normally, was it about $800 a credit hour now, I think, for an undergraduate class. So, I mean, it's a huge savings if they pay $300 for a class that's going to normally cost them right around $2,400. So,
you've got students. 600 students roughly this past year. You need faculty. Talk about how you select faculty to teach both on campus and in the schools.
On campus, it's just what professor's schedule works with the student that wants to come on campus with their schedule.
These are UPike faculty.
They're UPike faculty. There's no preference given. I mean, you know, just whatever fits in with the schedule.
Yeah.
And we've had professors tell us that some of the high school students are some of the better students that they have. You know, most of them do really well in their classes, and they want those students.
Sure.
So, you know, that's been a good experience for our professors as well. In the high schools, if they want to teach a dual credit class, they have to have a master's with 18 hours in their content. And Dr. Hess, our academic dean, he approves those faculty members to teach classes. We have to have copies of their graduate transcripts, and then we take it from there and they complete their paperwork. So, simple process.
Teresa, if someone would like more information about UPike today, the university's dual credit program, who can they contact?
They can contact me. My email address is teresalockhart@upike.edu, and my office number is 218-5306.
Very simple. And Dr. Barnett, if someone's interested in the master's program at the Patton College of Education this fall, who can they contact?
The easiest way to do that is we have an email that's TL, stands for teacher leader, at upike.edu, TL, or of course they can contact me, David Barnett 00. We have a student, David Barnett, and so I got the extra zeros, but David Barnett 00 at upike.edu.
Very good. We appreciate both of you being with us today. The Patton College of Education, an exciting time with its opening to students this summer. Dr. David Barnett, founding dean, thanks so much for being with us. We'll look forward to talk again.
Thank
and
you.
Teresa, as always, our pleasure. Student, now an administrator at the university, and still reaching out to the schools, and we appreciate all you do. You've been tuned to Where the 99 Leads, a program brought to you by the University of Pikeville, the leading university of Central Appalachia. Thanks for tuning in.